Are you sick of being stressed out, anxious, and overwhelmed every single day? Are you sick of your emotions running your life instead of you having control over what happens? Stick around because in this video, I'm going to share with you why stress is getting the better of you and the exact tools that I use as a busy mom, a multi-six-figure entrepreneur, and a wife. The exact tools that I use to take control back of my life and get rid of anxiety, overwhelm, and overstimulation for good. My name is Tiffany Toombs, the NLP Queen, and I am so excited to share this training with you today. Now, if you want more free trainings just like this one, make sure that you hop into our free Facebook community. I run trainings just like this one every single week in there. Just go ahead and click on the link in the description below and join us absolutely free. We're going to be talking about something, a topic that dramatically changed my life, and I have watched it, understanding this topic, change the lives of the clients that I have who actually implement what I talk about tonight. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Tiffany Toombs. Some people have nicknamed me the NLP Queen. And I'm an NLP and hypnosis master practitioner and trainer, which is really just a lot of words to say, I get you out of your own way so that you can show up in life in the way that you want to, so that you can, whether it's you want to grow your business or you want to make more money or keep more money or invest more money, you want to have better relationships, better health. Everything that I'm going to talk about tonight is going to get you there, because self-sabotage, whether you're sabotaging your business or you're sabotaging your finances or whatever it is, they all have a very similar root cause to them. So let's get the whiteboard up and we'll get going. So what we're going to talk about tonight, firstly, I want you to kind of think of your mind like this iceberg. And by the way, go ahead and join me in the Zoom room if you would like to ask me more direct questions. You can click on the link in the caption and join me in the Zoom room. So I want you to start thinking of your mind like this iceberg. And there's a couple things that you need to know. Firstly, your conscious mind, so the part of your mind that you're aware of, is the part of the iceberg that we're aware of. It's the part that's above water. And while most people think that this part of your mind is in control of your life, it's actually only 4% of your mind's capacity. And this is one of the ways that the personal development industry kind of keeps you stuck, because they talk about things like, you just need more willpower. You just need more self-discipline. Well, both willpower and self-discipline come from the conscious mind. And so that is the least effective way to make change. Now, I'm not saying that willpower and self-discipline are completely useless, but I'm saying that if your unconscious mind, as you're going to see tonight, which is your belief systems, your identities, and we'll talk more about what this is 96% of your mind's capacity. So, somebody's having a hard time finding this. All right. So, our unconscious mind is 96% of our mind's capacity. And so if our unconscious mind isn't in alignment with where we're going, right? When we set goals, we have dreams, that's coming from our unconscious, or from our conscious mind, sorry. But if our unconscious mind is out of alignment with that, if it doesn't believe that you're worthy, if it doesn't believe that you're capable, then it doesn't matter how much willpower or self-discipline you have, you're going to end up sabotaging yourself. There's too much stress on the system. Something has to give. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about with this iceberg is that over the years of working with thousands of entrepreneurs, moms, dads, corporate executives, corporate employees, just everyday people, what I've come to notice is that most people are aware of their disempowering habit, action, or patterns, right? So they know, oh, I'm procrastinating. They know that they're not doing the things they know they should do. Give me a 1 in the comments if that's you. Like, you know what to do, but you're not doing it. Or you know that you procrastinate, you know that you're a people pleaser, you know you're a perfectionist. Like, give me a 1 if you're like, yeah, I know my disempowering habit. I know that I shouldn't hit snooze 10 times in the morning. I know that I just need to make more calls, make more offers. I know that I need to communicate better with my partner. I know I need to go to the gym. I shouldn't eat, I know not to eat these foods, but I still do them anyways. Okay. So what lies underneath that? Those disempowering habits, actions, patterns, those are just a physical manifestation. They're a physical symptom of a deeper root problem. And one of the reasons I've found that people fail to make long-term transformation, not just, oh, I'm going to, push through and have some accountability, and then, that's it, right? One of the reasons why people stay stuck is they're looking for the quick fix to move them through the pain that they're in the moment without making long-term transformation. And that's a whole other conversation for another day. I'm totally getting off track here. But what lies underneath is our thought patterns that ultimately lead to our disempowering habits and actions and patterns. And underneath that is our belief systems, which again lead to our thoughts, which lead to our disempowering habits, etc. And then underneath that, we've got our identities, which lead to our belief systems, which lead to our thoughts, which lead to the disempowering habits. And then underneath that is our core childhood wounds, which lead to the identities. Okay. And I did a training 2 weeks ago. The replay is still in this group for you to check out, but I did a replay 2 weeks ago about these 4 pieces. When we're holding on to all of this though, I'm just going to mute everybody. If you have any questions right now, just pop them into the chat and then I'll answer questions directly at the end. So when you're carrying all of this around, you're carrying these thought patterns that don't serve you, the belief systems, the identities, the core childhood wounds, or trauma. This leads to a stress addiction, which ultimately puts us into survival mode. And that is why we end up sabotaging ourselves. We feel stressed out all the time. And that's what we're going to focus in tonight, talking about this specific area of our life. Okay. All right. So when I say to you, why isn't that disappearing? Okay. When I say to you, what is stress, in the comments or the chat, tell me, when I ask you what kinds of things stress you out, what do you think of? When I say, like, what stresses you out, what do you think of? Put it in the comments or the chat. And I'll talk about identity shortly. I'll answer that question at the end for you, Stephanie. So what kinds of things stress you out? If you're like, is it money? Common things that I hear are things like money stresses people out. Their kids stress them out. Their relationship stresses them out. Family, so like extended family, parents, in-laws, relationships, work
What else stresses you guys out? Work's another one. Sometimes people's health stresses them out. They're like, oh, I went to the doctor the other day and I got back this test and it didn't have the best results. What other things, when you think of stress you out? Nobody? Nobody else is stressed? It's going to be a short workshop tonight if nobody else is stressed. Okay. So thoughts on the future? Yeah. So like one thing people don't realize is that our brain, a couple things about our brain. Number one is that it's just a reflection of our past. Our brain is just a reflection of our past. It's just a collection of past memories, emotions, and things like that. But our brain also, as a way of keeping us safe, an attempt to keep us safe, our brain likes to predict the future. It tries to predict the future. And this is why very few people are ever present in the moment. They're always thinking about what could happen tomorrow or the next day or the next month or whatever. And so our future can stress us out as well. Being overcommitted, absolutely. So decisions that you've made can stress you out. Let's go with that. And then past circumstances, absolutely. All right, so good examples there. Now, there's a couple other things that most people don't realize are stressors for them. Now, I want you to know that you essentially have a bucket. Think of your body as having a bucket, and it can only hold so much stress. And your body doesn't filter out like, okay, this is a thought stress. This is a trauma stress. This is an emotional stress. I worked out. That's a good stress, right? It just knows stress, and it all goes in the same bucket. And so when we're carrying all of this stuff, plus the things I'm about to share with you, then what happens is that bucket becomes very full very quickly. And all of a sudden it's now overflowing. And this is where we feel that we can't manage things. Put 1 in the comments or the chat if you have felt anxious, overwhelmed, overstimulated, or if you've just felt like the desire to completely shut down in the last 7 days. Put a 1 in the chat if that has been an experience that you've had. Anxiety's kicked in, or you've been overwhelmed, overstimulated, anything like that. Okay. Now, on top of all of these things that we have here, right? I mentioned exercise. Now, exercise is technically a good stress. And if you're already carrying a ton of stress, it can have, if you go too hard in the gym, it can have the reverse effect. I was a personal trainer for 20 years. I was in the fitness industry. I've owned gym facilities. And when I was freshly out of college, I was working at a gym up in Canada called World Health Club, similar to like Planet Fitness. And there was somebody at the downtown Calgary location who they came in, they were the CEO, they came in and they said to their personal trainer, I've had the worst day ever, put me through my paces. Like, I need this outlet. Okay. And they ended up having a heart attack on the floor because their bucket of stress was too full for them to handle anymore. Now, I'm not going to dive deep into this one tonight, but our food is a major stressor. The food that we eat, partially because so many people eat so much processed food, right? Look at the obesity rates in our country. If your food, the more processed your food is, the more stress it's going to cause to your body. And then it's how the food's prepared. It's the chemicals that they spray on them, right? There is there are theories now that it's not actually gluten that people are intolerant to, but it's I can never say this word right, but the glyphosate that they spray onto the wheat to prevent it from being eaten by bugs, that's causing the reactions in our body, that's causing us to put on weight, have gut issues in response to eating the wheat. Our produce is sprayed with a whole bunch of chemicals when it's being grown. And then now what grocery stores do is they put a wax coating around your apples and, around your produce so that it looks shinier, so it looks better, but also has a longer shelf life. Well, guess what ingesting that wax does to you? It's not good for you. I believe the stat is that 70 to 80% of the hormones in the world are used in our meat. Now, I'm not anyway saying that you should stop eating meat. Not eating meat actually also causes stress to the body. But, and I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. Before I knew better, I worked for Monsanto in one of their animal barns. So I'm very aware of what goes on there. Hormones and antibiotics are handed out like candy there. In fact, when I left there, I worked in a pig barn. I could not eat pork for a very long time because I saw what happened in those situations. Again, this is before I knew better, but I believe that I was given that experience so that when I talk about these things, I'm speaking from firsthand. So a lot of the antibiotics and hormones that we have are in our food, unless you're eating from high quality sources. Our water is a huge stressor. If you go to ewg.org, I'll put it up here in the corner. I believe it's ewg.org. And on their website, they have a spot where you can put in your zip code, assuming you're not on well water. If you're on well water, then this is a different story. But if you're on town water, if you go to ewg.org, you can put in your zip code and it will tell you the contaminants that have been found in your water. Everything from, and there have been a lot of studies done on what's in our water, everything from contraceptives, so birth control, because what happens is women who are taking birth control, they're going to urinate some of that hormone out, and the water treatment facilities cannot get all of that contraceptive out. They have found antibiotics. They have found the drugs and chemicals that are taken as part of chemo in cancer patients. Where we used to live in Texas, there was arsenic and lead and a whole bunch of other cancer-causing chemicals in our water. So our water becomes a source of stress for the body. What kind of meat do I eat now? We buy directly from a farmer in our area. We've got a couple different farms that we buy from. We buy organic, grass-fed, pasture-raised meats that have no added hormones, no vaccinations, specifically new vaccinations. There's other chemicals. So the average woman just getting ready in the morning, between showering, moisturizing, doing, our skincare routines, putting on makeup, doing our hair, the average woman comes into contact with 160 different chemicals just getting ready in the morning. Never mind all the other chemicals in our cleaning products. You go to Starbucks, you buy a coffee and you drink it through that plastic lid. Plastic has synthetic estrogen in it. So, and the hot water or the hot beverage that you're drinking through it will cause that fake estrogen to leach into the drink, and then you're drinking it. Chemicals in the air, pollution is another one. So there's a ton of chemicals that we're being subjected to that you might not even know. Heavy metals. A lot of our foods and products contain heavy metals. Our body cannot naturally detox these alone. We have to take certain supplements, we'll call them, or certain herbs like coriander, for example, will bind to heavy metals and pull them out of the body, but our body will not be able to naturally detox them. Parasites. Every time I talk about doing a parasite cleanse, and today, by the way, is the best day to start them because we want to start them on a full moon. That's when our parasites are most active. And today is a full super moon. How many of you, put a 2 in the comments or the chat if you get sugar cravings, really bad sugar cravings? So parasites come from our food. If you are around a child, we've got a 14-month-old who like scratches themselves in that area, their butt and things with bare hands. That is, and then, you know, our food, that's where we get parasites from. And parasites absorb and soak up heavy metals in the body to protect themselves, and they steal our energy. So especially if around the full moon time you start, so like today, tomorrow, if you're craving sugar, that can be a sign of parasites. And yes, doing parasite cleanses, I've seen some very interesting things come out. So we do a parasite cleanse at least once a quarter to help us with this. Electromagnetic frequencies, or EMFs. So AKA Wi-Fi is a stressor to the body. It speeds up the frequency of our body. So our pineal gland, also known as your third eye in your brain, operates at about 7 hertz. Your phone, your laptop, your tablet, your computer operates at about 2000 hertz. And so how many of you, put a 1 in the chat if you ever feel like you're being sped up, and then you go out in nature and you just feel like this slow down of the body. Then you get back into your life and you're around all this tech and all these electronics and you feel the speed up happening again. How many of you have ever experienced that? So all of that is from the electromagnetic frequencies, okay? So these are all things that are filling up our stress bucket. There's more, but we're not going to go too deep tonight because this is only an hour training and I'm already 27 minutes in. So this is just some of what is causing you to be stuck in this stress cycle.
So I just wanted to interrupt the training to let you know that if you're loving this training so far, I do these every single week, absolutely free in my Facebook community. To join us and make sure that you catch all the future trainings and even suggest the trainings that you want to see more of, make sure you join our Facebook community. Just click on the link in the description below and you can join us absolutely free.
Now, what happens when we get stuck in our stress cycle? And I should add to that last diagram before I pull it back up here, our thoughts and our beliefs can become stresses of their own. Okay. So what happens then when we have all of this stress, our stress bucket is full? What happens is we have some sort of stressor, like anything that we just talked about, anything that was on that last slide. Okay. Now, this stressor causes our body to release 2 hormones, adrenaline and cortisol. Adrenaline and cortisol, when they're in our body for long periods of time, lead to inflammation. So we get inflammation around our belly. We feel like we have extra weight there. We're bloated. Right? We get inflammation in our ankles or in our hands or wherever. Everybody holds it differently. But then this inflammation becomes its own stressor. that's kind of a wonky arrow, but you guys get the point. And now we go around and around and around in this circle. And ultimately, what happens, the more we go around this circle, the more addicted to stress we become. Now, some of you may have heard me talk about the next part, but I want to talk about it again, because even just before we hopped on here, I got a message from a client who was like, oh my gosh, I am totally addicted to stress. They heard somebody else talking about stress addiction. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm totally addicted to stress. Now I understand what you're talking about. So every time we have a thought, that thought causes our body to release a hormone, which causes us to have a feeling and an emotion. So it's looking like this. Doot, 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 doot. And then it loops back up to here. Okay. So then our thoughts and emotions cause us to have more thoughts of the same feeling or of the same quality. So on an average day, we have 60,000 thoughts. Put into the chat what percentage of those thoughts you think are negative. What percentage of those thoughts do you think are negative? $75. All right. Steve knows because he's done some of my other programs. So 80% of those thoughts are negative. Okay. 80% of the thoughts we have every single day are negative. And by the way, if you're wondering why life doesn't change for very many people, it's because only 5% of the thoughts they have every single day are new. That's why we run so many of these free trainings, is because we want to expose you to new thought patterns so that you can start thinking different, so that you can get something different in your life. Okay. So this means that for 80% of our day, we are producing adrenaline and cortisol. Now, adrenaline has an automatic off switch. When it hits a certain concentration level in the body, it'll automatically turn off, but cortisol does not. So as long as we keep having these thoughts, our body will keep producing cortisol, and then we'll keep feeling anxious, we'll feel stressed, we'll feel overwhelmed, we'll feel overstimulated. Some people go into confusion. Some people go into fear or self-doubt. Some people just get angry. Some people feel imposter syndrome. Some people just feel exhausted and tired. And some people just shut down. So what is the most common emotion? I want to know, what is the most common emotion that you have every single day that you experience? So when you find yourself stuck in this negative spiral loop, which of these, and maybe it's not one that I've listed, maybe it's something different, but these are the most common ones that I see. Which of these are the ones that you go back to? So I've got one client who always goes back to overwhelm. Okay, fear. All right, what else? Some people will go into overstimulation, right? Where they just can't handle. I tend to go into overstimulation. When Chad was first born, I had a lot of overstimulation. I couldn't even wear my rings. It was too much sensory input for me to wear my rings, right? Luckily, my overstimulation when I first had Chad was dramatically reduced because of the tools that I'm about to share with you. Anxious and self-doubt, overwhelmed, angry. Okay. So that emotion that you just wrote down, that is called your memorized state of being. That's your memorized state of being. Your body has been in this cycle so many times that it has memorized the fear. It has memorized the anger. It has memorized the overwhelm, the anxious, the self-doubt. And how many of you will just wake up in the morning and feel that emotion that you put a 1 in the chat or the comments. If you just wake up in the morning and you don't even have to have a coherent thought, and you're already going into the fear, the anger, the anxiety, the self-doubt, the overwhelm. Because what happens is we get to a point where our body is now addicted to cortisol. Our body cells literally become addicted to cortisol. Okay. And it will literally skip this process and move straight to the feeling to get the hormone production. We'll just skip straight to the feeling of anxious, or straight to feeling overwhelmed, or straight to feeling fear to get our body producing those hormones. Now, this is called, so it's your memorized state of being, but the whole process is called stress addiction. Okay, and I want you to know this because this is an addiction. Your body cells, your heart cells, your muscle cells, your skin cells, your cells are literally addicted to cortisol. They become dependent on getting a certain level of cortisol every single day. And this is important because when we go to break this cycle, when we start to change our life, how many of you have ever done something positive to change your life? You buy the course, you hire the coach, you read the book, and you start to implement. You start going to the gym. You start doing the cold outreach or the warm outreach in your business. You start posting on social media more often. You start asking for more sales. You start doing the thing that's going to give you positive momentum towards your goals. And then put a 2 in the chat if you start doing that and you end up in self-sabotage. Something happens to derail you, or you get to a certain point and then you sabotage yourself. And there's a reason that this self-sabotage happens. And there's a reason that even if you don't put a 2 in the chat, I know that this is happening for you. I know that this is happening for you because when we go to make positive change in our life and we start breaking this stress addiction, which means we lower the cortisol that we are producing in the body, we end up in self-sabotage because the body has systems in place to bring us back to this memorized state of being. The first is called the fast path, where our body will literally attempt to trick the mind into thinking the thought that it needs to produce the cortisol. So it'll be something like, hey, do you remember that time in 2nd grade when you fell over in front of the entire class and everybody laughed at you and you made a fool of yourself? You should resonate on that right now. You should resonate on that right now. Or you'll be having a great day and all of a sudden you'll be hit with a intrusive thought of like, what if I die tomorrow? Or what if all of a sudden my partner stops loving me? What if I end up in divorce? What if? Put a 3 in the comments if you've ever had that what if intrusive thought predicting a negative future derails you. Because that is the fast path in action. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because now you know. So now that you know, when that intrusive thought comes in, instead of becoming attached to it, instead of ruminating on that time from 2nd grade that literally does not matter anymore, instead of ruminating on that, yeah. And so, you might just say, well, I'm going to be let down by a new coach or a new program. So I'm just not even going to take that step forward, right? That's your brain tricking you, your body tricking you to staying in the self-sabotage. So now when the fast path is activated, the intrusive thought, that ruminating thought from the past or about the future, that is your body tricking you. So you can go, okay, I see you. I get it. You're wanting your cortisol hit. we're safe. Because here's the crazy thing. Your stress addiction becomes your security blanket. It's how your mind attempts to keep you safe. Now, if the fast path doesn't work, don't you worry. The body has a backup system called the slow path. So in our mind, we have this, or in our brain, we have this gland called the hypothalamus. This is like the grandfather of the endocrine system. And the job of the hypothalamus is to monitor how much of a certain hormone that we have and compare it to the recent history. So the hypothalamus goes, when you start making this positive change, the hypothalamus is going to go, we've been getting this much cortisol the last couple weeks, months, years, decades. We've been getting this much cortisol. But all of a sudden, we're like way down here. Something's wrong. So I'm going to activate the pituitary gland, which is going to activate the adrenal glands, which is going to start producing cortisol. And then what happens is your heart starts to race. And all those physical feeling symptoms of adrenaline and cortisol come up. And then your logical mind says, whoa, my heart started racing. Something is wrong right now. I got to figure out what in my environment is wrong. But now you know. So when you get this agitation, uncomfortable feeling raising up in your body, the heart starts to race, your palms start to sweat, you start to get a little bit short of breath. Maybe you feel like an elephant is sitting on your chest because your chest just got really tight. Now you can come back to the tools that I'm about to share with you and recognize, this is not really, there's not really something going on. There's not really something stressing me out. This is my body attempting to take me back to this memorized state of being. But now I'm memorizing a new state. So I'm not going to go back there. Okay. Give me a 3 in the chat, or a 1 in the chat, sorry, if you're ready to know what I do as part of a daily routine. And I do some of this with my son and some of it alone and some with my son and my husband to regulate my nervous system. Give me a 1 if you're like, yep, just give us the goods. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. All right. So there's a couple things that are non-negotiables in my world. And when I don't do them, I then have, my days are just not as good. I'm more likely to become overstimulated. I'm more likely to become super tired. Okay. So number 1 is, and I want you to know that the first 20 minutes of your day, so the first 20 minutes when you wake up and the last 20 minutes of the day are when your brain is most suggestible. So these are the times when we have the most ability to mold our brain. So when I wake up in the morning, I do some gratitude, and or depending on the day and how much time I have, I write down what I'm excited about. How many of you put a 2 in the chat if when you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, I have such a busy day. I have so much to do. If you have that like, ugh, another day, same old thing, right? It doesn't create a very great life if you're like not starting your day excited. So I wake up and our son co-sleeps with us. So I usually wake up with like his legs on my face or him headbutting me. And I will give him a hug, and then I'll either talk out loud or I'll write down, here's what I'm excited about today. Here's what I'm grateful for. And I'll really bring my focus to that. I then do some breath work. Actually, sorry, I set intentions for the day. And this is a really powerful exercise. So starting tomorrow, when y'all get up, I want you to write down what you want to feel for the day. So what do you want to feel for the day? And I write down up to 4. Today, I want to feel abundant. Today, I want to feel empowered. I want to feel focused. I want to feel, et cetera, et cetera. What do you want to feel? And what do you want to see for the day? Because what you focus on expands. So when you wake up in the morning and the first thing that you do is start thinking about all of your problems, you're going to see more problems. So when I wake up every day, I set an intention, one that I do every single day, is to see how great my life is and can be. How great my life is and can be. That's something I want to see every single day. Okay, so I set my intentions. I do some breath work. I'm going to share with you 2 different breathing exercises that I do, just depending on how I feel for the day. And anytime I feel like the fast path or the slow path has been activated, I also come back to this breath work. Okay, so first exercise is called box breathing. First one is called box breathing. What you're going to do is you're going to breathe in. So we'll put in for 4. Then you're going to hold for 4 counts. You're going to breathe out for 4 counts. And then you're going to hold for 4 counts. And you're going to do at least 4 rounds of that. Okay, so it looks like this. Breathing in. Holding out. Holding. Okay, I'm going to do 4 rounds of that. And I typically will actually do 5 minutes. I do 5 minutes of breath work in the morning. I'll just put that up here. I do 5 minutes. Sometimes I'll do 10 if I haven't slept very well, but typically it's 5 minutes because by the end of 5 minutes, my son's crawling all over me. The second one is called a physiological sigh. And neuroscientists have actually found that doing the physiological sigh for 5 minutes a day has a greater impact on your mind than meditation. So while some days I will meditate, if I don't have time, the breath work is the non-negotiable. And then I'm giving you guys the non-negotiables here. Okay. So the physiological sigh is a double inhale and then full exhale. So it looks like this. So you're going to inhale, pause, inhale, and then exhale. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. So it looks like this. Inhale, pause, and then another sip of air in, and then full exhale. Again, do at least 4 rounds. If you're like really pressed for time in the morning, do at least 4 rounds. But if you can do longer, 5 minutes, do that. Both of these breathwork exercises you can also do when you feel your body hijacking your mind. Okay, so you can do both of those then. Eating breakfast is a non-negotiable. Now, I know some of you are going to be like, I'm not hungry in the morning. I don't like breakfast. I intermittent fast. Look, your body has not had food for at least 8 hours, typically. If you extend that 8 hours for a longer period, it is going to keep you in stress addiction. I know intermittent fasting is the current fad, and I know that you get great results on it. I like to look at health as how metabolically efficient your body is. And there's a lot of diets out there that will cause you to lose weight, but it does not cause your body to be in a prime metabolical state of health, right? Which means your immune system's working properly. Your detoxing is, does the second inhale make it complete, or it's not necessary? So the second inhale is part of the breath work. So you need to do that second inhale. So you want to inhale as much as you can, pause, take another sip of air, and then full exhale. Okay. So if you intermittent fasting, I know it's like the big thing right now. The studies were done on like white males in their 20s, ladies, especially. Intermittent fasting is going to mess up your hormones, which is going to keep you in stress addiction. Okay. If you want to do like a 2 or 3 day fast, even up to a 5-day fast, once a quarter, twice a year as like a cleanse for your body, cool. Intermittent fasting every day, where you only give yourself an 8 or 10 or 12 hour window to eat. Okay. You have to eat breakfast. Coffee, black coffee doesn't count. Also, I'm not a coffee drinker, but stop drinking black coffee without food. You either have to put some sugar and cream in it, or you got to eat some food with it. Now, if you're not a breakfast person, which I was not for a very long time, I'm not saying skip straight to a massive meal, right? Start small. When I started, I could only eat like half a banana, and then I would eat again a couple hours later. But you have to put something into your body. Otherwise, your body is going to stay in survival mode. Okay, so that's the morning routine. That's a non-negotiable. Are there other things I do some days? Yes. Some days I'll exercise. Some days I'll do yoga. Some days I'll stretch. Some days I'll meditate. But these are my non-negotiables for keeping my body out of stress addiction. Okay, throughout the day, regular check-ins on how I'm feeling. A minimum of 3 times a day, ideally, is hourly. So you can set like a reminder that's silent, just to pop up on your phone screen or something every hour, just to remind you. It doesn't have to be long, just a quick check-in. Like, what am I thinking right now? What am I feeling right now? Is this serving me? It is significantly harder to break a memorized state of being if you're not checking in with yourself. Okay. And then at night, I do more gratitude and I reflect on the day. And my reflection is in this order. What did I do well? What did I do aligned with my future goals? What are my areas for improvement? Notice I'm not saying what are my weaknesses. I know people who love a good SWOT analysis, but focusing on your weaknesses, not a great thing. Okay, so what are my areas for improvement? What did I do well and what can I do better tomorrow? When we focus on how we can get better at something or where we can improve, as opposed to here's where I was totally crappy, here's all the ways that I procrastinated today. A sneaky way that we stay in stress addiction is by beating ourselves up. Self-judgment, self-criticism, self-shaming. These are sneaky ways that we keep ourselves in stress addiction. Okay, so let go of it. Notice when you're doing it and just say, that doesn't serve me right now. What did I do well? What did I do that was in alignment with my goals? And what are my areas for improvement tomorrow? Okay. All right. Any questions before we start to wrap up? Any questions? So for those of you who just wanted to join me for the training, that is it for the training today. Those of you who want more support in this journey to letting go of self-sabotage for good and unleashing your power, rising up to your potential, then I've got something to share with you. So you're welcome to stay, but if you just wanted the training, that is it for the training tonight. So to navigate our self-healing journey, when I first started my healing journey, I'm going to be honest, I barely had 2 nickels to rub together. And that meant that it took me a lot longer to get to the end outcome because I couldn't sign up for the courses and the mentors that I wanted. And also I wasn't willing to spend the money back then. And I do think that it is important to invest in ourselves, because when we are invested in something, we're more likely to take action. For me, I read the books. I did whatever was free. And I obviously didn't show up as fully as I could. So when I started my coaching program, because I ended up getting to the point where I was just so frustrated with my life that I was like, you know what, even though I barely have 2 nickels to rub together, I need to do something different. And so I signed up for a $5,000 program, which left me in a lot of debt and a lot of stress addiction. But I decided when I started coaching that I wanted to make healing practices accessible for everybody, regardless of where you were at financially. And so that is what we have created the Cycle Breakers Society for. Now, there are different aspects to the Cycle Breaker Society. You get all of them included, but let's go through them. So the first thing you get is the Healing Sanctuary. And these are a series of guided meditations that you can do anytime at home. They have been designed to help you reprogram limiting beliefs, feel grounded in your energy, feel connected to a higher source, connecting back to yourself, feeling unconditional love. There's a number of guided meditations, and every other month I release new guided meditations for you to use to help you even release trauma, start healing from old trauma and things like that. So the Healing Sanctuary, guided meditations that are going to meet your needs on every level. If you ever had a need, you were like, oh, I would really love a meditation on this, I'm always open to that so that I can create exactly what you're needing. So you're going to get the Healing Sanctuary. You're also going to get daily thought transformers. So we're re-releasing these daily thought transformers. And I said before that one of the reasons why so few people change is only 5% of our thoughts are new every single day. And so we created the daily thought transformers to give you it's like basically like a mini podcast. It's 5 to 10 minutes. You will not find these anywhere else, but it's something that you can listen to while you are walking the dog, or while you're cooking breakfast, or while you're doing your hair, or whatever in the morning. And the daily thought transformers have been designed to expand your thinking, get you thinking about certain things that you already know in a different way, or getting you thinking about things that you've never thought of before. You're also going to get the 30-day release challenge. This is 30 different exercises that you can do to release trauma, tension, and emotional baggage that's stored in your hips. Women especially tend to store a lot of trauma in this area, a lot of emotional baggage. Men do as well, but women have deeper hip sockets. Now, the trauma that we store there stops us from fully and confidently moving forward, because if you think about it, our hips connect to our legs and our legs move us forward. And so we will hold ourselves back from moving into the future that we desire if we're holding a lot of trauma here. So I did a 30-day release challenge. You get access to it, even though we did it previously. And it's going to share with you these 30 different exercises that are super powerful for releasing that emotion from the hips. You're also going to get my 31-day anxiety hackers journey, which is 31 different exercises that you can do. Some of these exercises can be used part of a daily routine to help you lower your overall anxiety levels. And some of these exercises can be used in the moment when anxiety is rising up to help you regulate yourself and get control back. So you're going to get that challenge. Every other month, we do a challenge. So you'll get however many days are in that month, you'll get daily exercises for that challenge. So for example, in October, we're doing the Fall into Self-Love Challenge. So there's going to be 31 different exercises that you're going to get as it relates to deepening your self-love, embracing self-acceptance on a deeper level, etc. You are going to get the Mind-Body Harmony, which is a series of guided exercises and worksheets that you can do to regulate your nervous system, to start shifting your identity, and to start reprogramming your limiting beliefs and releasing trauma. So I'm sharing with you literally the things that I give my private clients, that my private clients hire me to do. And I'm giving that to you to do at your own pace, at your own time. Okay. You're also going to get, excuse me, my voice is going a little bit crazy. You're going to get the Radiant Living exercises. These are guided exercises that are going to help you really recalibrate the nervous system. If your gut health is out of whack, if your liver and your other detoxification pathways in the body are not working effectively, you're not going to get out of survival mode. Now, I did a video on this on TikTok recently, and somebody was like, oh, unless you have some sort of condition, you're just fine. But because of all those stresses that we talked about before, our food, the chemicals, etc., most of us have detoxification organs, our liver, our lymphatic system that's not effectively working. And this is why we feel stiff and achy in the morning. This is why you wake up between 1 and 3 in the morning and can't get back to sleep. This is why you feel tired all the time. It's why you get sick more often than other people. Okay, so in the Radiant Living exercises, I'm also including things that you can do to heal your gut health, open up your drainage pathways, support your liver, support your lymphatic system so that your body can come back to its prime state of health. Because healing for me is not just about healing trauma, it's about mind, body, and soul. And if your body is not healthy, your mind is only going to go so far. So we've included the Radiant Living exercises. You are going to get weekly releasing sessions. My computer is being weird right now. All right. You're going to get weekly releasing sessions with me. And these are live. And you'll get the replay if you can't make them live. But these weekly releasing sessions are 20 to 30 minute sessions where I'm going to guide you through a hypnosis to start healing some of your trauma, to start doing some of your inner child work, to start shifting your identity so that you can move towards your goals. There is a monthly Q&A. So once a month, there is a group Q&A session where you can hop on live on Zoom with me and you can ask me questions. You'll get a hot seat style coaching where you can say, this is a challenge I'm having in my life. What can I do about it? And I'll either direct you to specific exercises that I think you should do, or I will give you some on the call that you can do that I haven't yet put into the program. And then I'll go put them into the program for you. So you get personalized coaching from me once a month. Now, all of this is only $27 a month, and you can cancel anytime. So again, we've designed this program to be as cost effective for people as possible, but we also know that we can't give it totally free, because if we did, people wouldn't do it. So we had to charge something. When we get to 50 members, which that means we only have 20 spots left at the $27 a month investment, and then it will be going up. So to join the Cycle Breaker Society, I'm going to put the link into the chat and into the comments. You can join us there. I will mention that when you join, you're going to get a free onboarding call with me. It's a one-on-one call that you're going to get with me. And we'll talk about what your goals are, what it is that you want to achieve in this program, why you joined this program. And I'm going to give you the best places for you to start. And I'm also going to ask you, hey, what is it that you're looking for? And if there's something that's not yet in the program that would be beneficial for you, then I'm going to put that into the program.
Thanks for joining me for this training today. I know that when you implement these exercises, it is going to have a profound transformation on your life. If you want more trainings like this, firstly, make sure you subscribe to this channel because we are putting out brand new content every single week. And if you want more free workshops and in-depth trainings like you just watched, join our free Facebook community. I am doing these workshops in there every single week, and I would love to have you join us. Just click on the link in the description below, and it'll take you there to join us absolutely free.